Hi everyone, Mr. Barden here. Today I'm going to be talking a bit about some of the composition techniques for setting up your video shots for the digital storytelling course. So you'll notice though, before I even get into that a lot of this is very similar to when we talked about photography and setting up those shots. If you think about it, video is essentially just a bunch of photos that get played really fast together like a flip book, and then with sound synced up to that. So again, a lot of these concepts will transfer over. So I've got this slideshow right here that I'm going to go through. I'm not going to make it full screen, just because there's a lot of kind of screenshots showing off different um, angles and different shot composition techniques. And there's no way to have me on the screen in one spot that doesn't cover things up. So that's why I'm kind of way up here in the tops, and I'll just kind of be navigating like this. So again, just some basic principles of videography and shot composition. One little thing before I get into it though, I definitely don't own any of the little screenshots here. They're all from their respective uh, places, and I'll mention where they come from as we go. So we can, as we go along, we can kind of see right here just an example of a low angle. All right, and I'll play this little example. Can I play this example? It's not going to let me play this example. That's okay. I tried. But a low angle. So you can see in this case, the camera was placed below the person's kind of to be level with their face. Right now, when I'm doing this shot, it would be a kind of straight on angle. If it were to be a lower angle, it would be something kind of like this. All right. I'm not going to do a whole bunch of moving up and around, but again, the camera is below the face of the person here, so we can see up into their face. Here we have some wide shots. Sometimes you can hear them referred to as establishing shots. And basically, these are a shot that encompasses a wide field of vision. It shows off a lot of the environment going on. And this can be used in order to kind of set up or establish where a story is taking place. You can see this from a low angle a lot of times, but it doesn't always have to be. Again, we have this kind of low angle up here of some cheerleaders and crowd at a football game. This one down here isn't necessarily at as much of a low angle, but again, you can see very far off into the distance and very wide. It is a wide shot. A full shot, also called a long shot, is when the subject of your video, much like the subject of your photos, you can see the entirety of them in the shot. So again, you can see the entirety of the main subjects here in the all of them are in the shot, basically. Keeping in mind that everything is still well balanced as if you're taking photos. I'm, again, not going to go through all the photography techniques, but keep in mind just because you can see all of the person doesn't make it a good shot automatically. You still have to balance everything. Keeping that in mind, whenever you do a full shot, you don't want to chop off their head or their torso. You want to give them some space. So you can see both of these here. There's a little bit of space above and below their head and feet. I'm not using a full shot when I do these videos, but we'll be getting into some of that stuff a little bit later on. A mid shot or a medium shot, very similar to the full shot, only it's only showing part of the subject. It's generally from the waist up, right? More or less the middle of the subject to the most exciting part. Again, be sure you don't want anyone to be, like if I was to kind of sit up here, this would be a very bad shot because it's cutting off my head. I don't have breathing room. It seems very poorly situated and poorly framed. You want to have some headspace above that person just to help balance things. This is very commonly used in interviews because you can see a wide amount of the person, but you don't need to see the entirety of everyone just when they're talking. You can focus just on their upper torso. A medium close-up this is a bit of what I'm using right now. A little bit of a medium. Um, I'm also using more of an actual close up, somewhere in between those. But you can see mostly the head and shoulders, not really anything else. Head and shoulders. You can still see some of what's going on in the background and around them. Again, we have this shot here. Big Lebowski. You can kind of see just the torso, all that right there. Nothing else in the shot because you don't need it. This is a medium close up. We are drawn to whatever is going to be happening right here in the scene. Again, this is used a lot in interviews. It's a little more intimate than the mid shot from before. Again, we're a lot closer to the subject. And again, it's also used in sports a lot for varying reasons. But again, you can get those nice close ups without being right in their face. So, speaking of close ups, this again doesn't always have to be a person. These subjects can be just about anything that you want to focus on. But again, it is a tight shot of usually a face, but also an object, and that's essentially taking up pretty much all of the frame. This is shows detail and focus, and again, it draws your attention right to the main subject. So here we got from Iron Man the close up of Robert Downey Jr.'s face. Again, that's pretty much all we're really seeing. There's some stuff over here, but we're focused on his face. Close up of the helmet. This is also exaggerated by the fact that everything else is out of focus here. Again, we have a close up on this hand and bar, so we're drawn to this. So if this were a movie, it'd be opening the door, we'd see what would be there. Our attention would be focused that way. All right, let's keep going through some stuff. To follow the same train of thought, we now have an extreme close-up. And this is basically a close-up on steroids. It's an even tighter face. Zoom in. It generally focuses on eyes if it's a person. Again, we get eyes here, old Leonardo DiCaprio shot here. Again, focusing right on the eyes. Doesn't always have to be, but we can see here they're focusing right on the hands and just reading the letter right there. It gives you extreme detail, extreme focus on one small part of the larger scene. All right, the Dutch angle. I'm sure you've seen this in a lot of places and didn't really think about it, but this is again, for some artistic expression. It can be used for different things, but it makes an interesting emphasis, or can highlight if something's a little unstable, and that's essentially when you diagonally tilt the camera in order to create a fairly dramatic shot. Again, mostly used for emphasis. It's not always highlighted for a long amount of time. I'm going to stop doing that so I don't hurt my back. But again, we can see these shots, they're tilted just a hair, maybe 30 to 45 degrees, just for creative emphasis. And this, as we can see, it can be through a variety of different close-ups or from far away. It just depends on the shot you're wanting to get. We're back here at a low angle again, and again we can see that again the camera is below the subject. So again, we have this shot here with, from the Avengers. They're all above the camera, looking down. Same thing with Darth Vader. They're from high up, looking down, as if you, the viewer, are below whatever's happening. Again, this makes the subject seem bigger, more imposing. Can make bigger stature. Basically, it makes you, the viewer, feel a little small and intimidated, generally speaking. That's kind of why it's used. Here I have some more examples of some low angle shots. And again, you can use these for a variety of different setups. All right. The exact opposite of that now is a high angle. And again, this is when the camera is above the subject looking down. This essentially has the opposite effect, where whatever you're looking at tends to look a little smaller and insignificant, comparatively speaking. So here we have from a Harry Potter movie, the Dementor is coming down and attacking. So he's on the floor. We're looking down at him, things like that. The aliens and Avengers and so on and so forth. We're again up top, looking down. That's the key thing from a high angle. A cut in or cut away essentially is a shot that is helpful for transitioning. So this shot in itself isn't in the subject. So again, I've got a 3 bits right here. So there's a shot of one person, reading the newspaper. We see the clock go away, and then we move along to the next scene here. This again is a transition to kind of show that time has passed and maybe reinforce the mood. We don't necessarily have to have a strong jump cut between 2 different scenes, especially if the different scenes are similar enough. It can be a little weird and jarring. So having just a small cutaway, it can be extremely useful for those transitions. Over the head. All right. So over the head is a almost like a high angle in the sense of you are above whatever you're wanting to look at. But you'll notice that it's above and it's behind someone's head. So it's like you're looking down from behind. You're kind of following a person, getting their viewpoint. It's very similar to being like in a third-person video game angle. Again, if you've ever seen some of those characters, it's like you're right behind them, looking down as they go and do the thing. Again, that's an over-the-head shot. Your camera is over their head. Over the shoulder, a little bit different. It's a little lower than over the head, as you might expect, given basic human anatomy. So again, it's from behind as well. And this is something that's very useful whenever 2 characters are talking. So this is a way that you can have both characters in the shot, and they're talking back and forth, and you can just jump between the 2 over the shot shoulders, so you can look at whoever is talking, and then flip to the other person. So everyone's still in the scene. You can see their reactions back and forth, things like that. And it's a very natural way to frame a conversation. It's probably most places you've seen an over-the-shoulder shot. All right. The next techniques are very similar, but they're just done differently. So the first one is tilting. And actually, I have my camera on a tripod here. That's not what I wanted to do. I'm trying to improv. Let's undo that. All right. So tilting a camera, tilting on the tripod is essentially when you move it up, come on, up and down vertically, like so. All right. So again, if you wanted to go, from a head to toe shot, showing something vertically, you can smoothly pan, or tilt, I should say, up and down. This is something you should always do smoothly. It's very jarring if you do this kind of motion. It's very annoying. Panning, again, you should probably put all this on a tripod to make it smooth and even, is pretty much the exact same thing, only you go horizontally. Again, moving left to right. So again, if a subject was moving across the shot, you would follow them with the camera by panning to keep them in the center or so of the shot. You could also use this, again, to fill out a scene. You could, again, move left to right in just about any kind of scenario. If you've ever worked with audio before, again, panning, moving between the left and right speaker, it's the same kind of idea, just with a video camera. A medium 2-shot. So think of a mid-shot, just like we talked about before. Again, from more or less the waist up. I'm going to put this down. We'll bring it back if I need to. But again, from the waist up, the only difference is now you have two, or sometimes more, but generally two, because two shot. These names are very descriptive. Um, two or more subjects in the scene. So again, we got Titanic, Pulp Fiction, two characters here, waist up, approximately two subjects in a medium shot. So again, you get the head to the waist or chest area. So this is what I was talking about with headroom. So you want to balance your shot. Think rule of thirds when you're doing this. So again, too little headroom. They're cutting. I'm not even going to try that. We have the examples on the screen. They're kind of cutting off the top of the head. Too much. It just seems weird and poorly balanced. Like we're just seeing too much of the background here to be focusing on the subject here. The proper headroom, everything is pretty much properly balanced. Again, following rule of thirds kind of setup. It just is naturally framed in the shot. So again, there's not too much, not too little. We can set things up that way. All right. Looking room. This is an important idea, again, with balancing. Only instead of going vertically, we're thinking horizontally. So you almost always want to have your subject facing the negative space in your shot if it's not something head on. So let me go this way so I'm still facing the microphone. So let's say you wanted to have a shot here. My looking room is this way. I'm looking across the shot here. So we can see, again, we kind of see that I'm looking off in the distance, and it's balanced. We want to see what we're looking at, what we're leading to, like a leading line. There, unless something is happening back here, which in this case there's not, there's no reason for any of this to be in the shot, and it's just going to feel awkward and poorly balanced. So no one's going to enjoy that. Again, to illustrate that, let me get on this side of the frame, and I'm going to look over here and talk that way. And it's just going to be kind of weird. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I off balance trying to look at, in this case, my very bright light while I'm talking? Whereas if I were to be over here and talk, it's a little more natural, a little more balanced. I'm not going to stay over here. But again, we can see that I am looking into the frame. That's the most important aspect right there. All right. Framing up an interview. So when you're setting up an interview shot, you want to make sure that they have this looking room. Again, you want to be a little closer up on them because, again, you're focusing on the person here that you're interviewing. Would make no sense to have a wide shot while you're trying to interview one person. Full shots are also a little weird. So again, medium shot or a close-up tend to be the better things. But you want to give them just a little bit of looking room. You see they're looking off to the sides here. It gives a little bit of depth and leading into the shot. So it can be very useful. And just give a little bit extra to your shot, as opposed to how I end up doing this for most of my videos, where I'm looking right in the camera. So sometimes I'll kind of look off to the side just to help with that a little bit. Rack focus. It's not going to let me play the video. So again, this is a way that you can transition the focus from the foreground to the background. And everything is a little different depending on which cameras you're using. But we can kind of see the differences here, where the focus starts very close on the subject of the helmet, and in our video it would gradually transition so the background is more in focus. I'm sure everyone has seen this in this kind of transition. It's a great way of shifting the attention from something up close to something far away, and kind of changing the perspective, moving the story along. Again, it can be done slightly differently based on the camera you're using or the video editing software. When I post this, I'll be sharing the slides so you can check out some of these videos on your own. All right. And again, you can check out some of these videos right here in the slides, talking about different kinds of transitions, things like that. So that's going to kind of wrap it up just for this video. Again, I'll have all of this available for you. Definitely, if you have questions, feel free to reach out. Comments are always great, so I'll be happy to answer all of those. And I think that's just about it. I'm going to start rambling if I keep talking, so I will see you all in the next video. Bye.